don't know if you looked at the calendar, but we're talking about yoga today.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, that was passionate. I love that. I'm Laura Jane. I'm passionate about yoga. Why? Because it comes from my heart. This beautiful life that we are all living is a blessing. It is the greatest gift we have, and it comes from the awareness that we are alive. And so I'm passionate about being alive. So if I'm zealous or a little energetic or a little loud, forgive me, because I teach with humor and I teach with forgiveness and the acceptance that we're human beings. So what happens when we teach yoga or we're talking about yoga, we come from the perspective that it's about your body. And what is your body? Your vehicle. But it's not, because yoga is teaching us it's not about your identity. It's about your soul. I'm here because I'm passionate about soul work. We're all souls on this magnificent journey. Do we get it right? No, we get it imperfect because we're not perfect. We're human beings learning and growing. And I really care about people staying in that perspective, that we stay passionate about curiosity and learning, and we let go of outcome. And we do it for something greater. What is that? Soul. Do it for life. Do it for the beauty of living, for being alive, and because you can. So people come to me and they say, I can't do yoga. And I go, well, what do you mean you can't live? You can't breathe? And that's the key. Remember, yoga comes from the awareness that you're alive from your breath. And the breath is the gateway to your soul. We come in with breath and we will go out. Your last. And yet the body is the vehicle, so take care of it, respect it, honor it, love it, but don't be attached to its identity. Is it perfect? Is it right? I can't touch my toes. I can't do a headstand. So most people think yoga is all about this physical thing. So I'm passionate about living. I grew up on the East Coast. I'm almost 70. I've been practicing since I was an infant. I used to sit around going, Mommy, look at my belly. You can go in and out. Oh, look at I can do this. And she'd look at me, this child is weird. My great aunt Laura would go, that's way too much information for me, child. Because I was curious. And I was a philosopher and I wanted to learn, and I didn't want just to tell me what it was. I wanted to understand why. I'm fascinated with the mind. And yoga is a gateway to the mind. What is our mind? What is our mind? This is the question. These are the philosophies. I studied Greek philosophy. I was fascinated with Buddhism and Zen. And I was getting the book on tea as a little girl. I was reading about tea ceremonies and Zen Buddhism. And I wanted Alan Watts to tell me. And he was so intellectual and I couldn't understand it. Because yoga is about experience in your life. You have to touch it. You have to feel it. I could have an apple up here, maybe a beautiful Macintosh. Or I could have a, delicious, or one of these Honeycrisp. And they're all varieties of an apple. They come from the same seed, but they're different forms, different identities. And I can explain to you, oh, it's juicy, it's sour, it's got this. But until you taste it and you have your own experience, it doesn't mean anything. So yoga is about touching your own experience and embracing your own journey. So what is mind? Mind to the yogi and the history of yoga and understanding mind. It comes from the darshans. The darshans are 7 philosophies. We're going back thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Comes from the darshans and philosophy of mind. They were fascinated. Language. What was language? It was chanted. Everything was vibration. People would travel, and where are the areas now of Persia, Afghanistan, even before it was labeled territory. It was massive area of wisdom. People would travel. Vietnam, you have the histories of the ancient Confucius and China. What is mind? This was the question. So people would study and go these darshans. There are 7 schools of it. So yoga derives from the school of Sankhya philosophy. You have Vedanta, you have different patterns of philosophy that were derived out of the Upanishads and the Vedas. Vedas is where you get these understanding of Vedanta and Sankhya.
If you drop your voice, we can't hear you.
Okay.
So can I ask you,
I'm
I've
gonna
heard,
have you sit right
Yeah.
here. Steve.
wanna come over and sit there?
Please sit next to me.
All right.
Would you like me to sit next to
My
you?
hearing is excellent, it's just
Okay,
a voice down there doesn't carry. When you drop your voice, it doesn't carry.
okay, thank you, dear. I will unfortunately at times drop it.
Yeah.
And I can't help that, but I will try my best, and I
Okay,
promise.
just focus it.
I understand.
Raises the pitch, then it's okay.
Thank you. Going back to the philosophy. So we have Sankhya philosophy, Vedanta. These are the two that I want to express today because you had Buddhists come and we've talked to you. So the discussion is about religion and spirituality. So yoga is not a religion. It's very confusing in our world today because it's projected as a dogmatic identity of teaching that is not in religion of Christianity, and it's very confusing to people that have a resistance. So they block the identity of yoga because it's taboo. Yoga is teachings of skills of how to understand the mind, because in every religion, it's the mind. It's the mind, and the mind is in your body. How many people touch your body, feel it? This is like tasting an apple. You're gonna feel your body. You're gonna feel if I put your leg here. This is a physical experience. Ow. Ow. I don't like it. The mind resists what it doesn't like. What does the mind also resist? What it doesn't understand. What it doesn't understand. So I'm here to share, let's get to a common place of understanding what yoga is and what it is not. So it's not just this physical instrument that identifies me as good. Oh, because you're flexible, you're a better human being than the one that's stiff. Now we're in judgment. Mind is judging. Mind loves to judge because that which I don't know and don't understand, I don't like. So we have likes and dislikes, and that's how we live through the intellect of mind. So what is mind? Yes, dear.
You referenced the Vedas,
Yeah.
and I've heard that, you know, periodically, and I don't understand where it fits into the
Lineage of line.
rubric or the scheme of yoga.
Yes, because the Vedics are sects of different Vedas. The Vedas have different, Christianity, you have Judaism, Islamic, all of those are religions in the Vedic teachings, but the philosophies of each of those religions come from the Upanishads years before, which was chanted and brought through the teachings. Christianity is a new religion in comparison to these ancient wisdom teachings. Where does Judaism come into? Islamic, these are in the Vedic teachings. Now Vedic becomes then the sects of religion. But yoga is in the Vedics, not as a religion, but as teaching tools to help every religion understand what is mind versus what is spirit and soul. And the Sankhya teachings of the darshan religion, of the teachings in the darshans, which are these way before the Vedic, understanding that yoga is a methodology of breaking down what is mind, mind being when the mind is directly focused, when the mind is steady, when the mind is not moving in all these directions, mind now can give you the gateway into your soul. When I'm chattering, when I'm roaming, now the nature of your mind is to roam. Okay, don't try to stop your mind. People say, I can't meditate.
Yeah.
Well, it's impossible to stop your mind. Your nature, why is it roaming? You're based in survival. The body is my identity. God, if I lose this body, I die. What is death? The end of this? And yogi teaches, no. Now you come into your Purusha, and this is where the Sankhya model is Prakriti and Purusha. If I use Sanskrit words, don't get overwhelmed. I'm a geek. I've been studying since I'm 20. I've been to India, living there for months at a time. My teachers are all, and I live in the western suburbs. So I'm a pioneer. Okay? Never really introduced myself, but I will tell you, I have a master's in clinical psychology and I left mental health in the 90s. Because I could not stand that they lost somatic touch. And we gave
Oh.
pharma permission to heal
Yes.
people. You don't heal. You keep them stuck in the intellect here. Now we pattern your ego according to fixing your life. My world is fall apart. I'm gonna trust you to come in and you're safe. Why do we cling to the body? Because this is our survival. And what is it based out of? I am not safe. I have to get the food. You have to, you're pro, you gotta eat. Or if you don't eat, what's behind you right now? The wolf. What if I told you there's one piece of meat and you better get it? Well, you better get that meat now. You better get it faster. And there's, wait a minute. Somebody else is gonna get you and they're gonna eat you. And you are gonna die. Okay. Heartbeat, rhythm goes right up. What if I tell you take a deep breath right now? Exhale it. That's a lie. What do you feel right now? Where do you feel it? Peace. Takes a lot of effort. Takes a lot of effort to de-link from that thought that you're not safe, which is your primal nature, and trust. You're enough. You're enough. You're right here. Breathe. You're alive. However, you are not that thought. You are not that behavior. You are not that personality. You are not that. You are this. This is your Purusha. And yoga teaches you the pathway into all religions is in your soul. And that's a practice. Because guess what? I got to drive my car today. I got to get dressed. I got to feed my face. I got to, move the body. I have to live. But my mind has to be not the boss. This has to be the boss. So it has to be tuned to this higher vibration, which is the practice of experiencing stillness and peace. It is only when the mind is still can we get the clarity to come inward and be present. And why can't people do yoga? Because they cannot still the mind. And what do we have every day? Distractions, noise. That's what we're addicted to. So we're addicted to the anger that comes out of not feeling safe. So now yoga teaches us. You have a methodology. We have tools. So yoga, in the understanding of the Vedic, is tools for every religion to be able, whether you're a Buddhist or you are practicing any sect of Christianity or Islamic or Judaism, you need tools for the mind. So it's a separate understanding that it's not about getting your identity in your religion. It's not your posted. So we're not asking people to stop any of their beliefs. Just add it to your life. Add to it. So don't you feel better if you can take a deep breath in? Don't you feel better if you can find moments where you're not in chattering? It's about living life with less suffering. Just like the Buddha would say, life is struggle, but it's a choice whether you're going to suffer or not. That is an empowered piece of living. It's a choice whether you're going to suffer. Tell that to people that are suffering. They're suffering, they're caught in the quagmire of it. So we have to have compassion, right? Is every religion not about cultivating kindness and compassion? So yoga, the principles are, please look at the teachings of yoga. And that's why I brought today my Bible. It's the Yoga Sutras. These are the sutras of Patanjali Yoga Sutras. This is the text of yoga. You see all my little writing when people read their Bible. This is me being the geek, writing all of my little notes here. Atta Yoga Nushasana Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha Tada Rastruhub Sarupa Avasthanam. And now begins the teachings of yoga. Atta, very first sutra, Patanjali, is the text of yoga teachings, came out of the Upanishads. It became then part of the Vedic teachings, but it is the text. Now, we don't know if Patanjali ever lived, because what, we weren't around. Time around Persia, you know, that region, people would travel thousands of miles to be at the feet of teachings of these chanting. Chanting, the Upanishads, came out of vibration. They were all vibrational sound. And the language of Sanskrit, an ancient language, we have Hebrew, we have many of your magnificent Qurans. What is the language of intelligence? Sound. Sound. It was energetically transformed in the vibration of being in the presence of the experience. You had to listen to the sounds and be a part of it. They were transcribed by Vyasa. Vyasa lived maybe 50 to 100 years after Patanjali, finally put it into the Sanskrit. And throughout time, they have been the passage. And many people have interpreted and rewritten and translated the sutras from any religion, but any language. English is a very dry language. So my teacher, Krishnamacharya lineage, from the Krishnamacharya lineage, who brought yoga healing into the United States, was his son, Mr. Deskachar. You've heard of Iyengar yoga, you've heard of Form yoga. And so it was brought to this country, but it comes out of the sutras that were translated. And the translations can change according to your perspective. Can't everything change from our lens? So yoga is saying it's your lens that is giving you your interpretation of everything. Because if I grew up in Connecticut, I grew up in the Unitarian Church, my religion was in the woods. So when I come up here and I see all these trees, I'm home. This is Westport, Connecticut. This is my Unitarian Church. I grew up on the East Coast. I'm a snob. Ended up in the flatlands of the western suburbs, but I lived in Manhattan for 10 years. I then lived in California. I traveled to India, and then I ended up, adopting my beautiful daughter at 46, who just graduated from college and working. And life is about your story. Every one of us here have a story, and it comes from that perspective. But yoga is asking us, can you clear your lens? So now begins the path of yoga. The path of yoga, Atha now, Shusasana, means you must have a teacher. You must have someone to guide you, because our lens gets confused. Now, we can have opinions, biased opinions that come out of that. Is it right? Is it wrong? Do I like it or I don't like it? Going back to that judgment piece. So we have to look inside. Who am I? What is my path? I'm a seeker. I wanted to explore. I had Catholic friends in 3rd grade that I sat there and ate their fish sticks every Friday night because they couldn't eat meat. I grew up in the 60s, but the Pope had said no meat on Friday. And I was a good friend to my friend Janice Van Sickle. I didn't eat the meat. I ate on Friday night. She was an only child. We shared our Friday nights and I ate that fish stick until one night, on a Friday night, we had meat. I said, what the heck? Why are we having meat? And she said, well, the Pope came down and talked to the Pope. God came down to the Pope and he heard God and we can have meat now. I said, whoa, well, let's get back here. What do you mean the Pope talked to God? Yeah, he's the only one that can talk to God. I said, no. I talk to God every day. And I do. I talk to God every day. Does that make me a really zealous, religious human being? No, it made me question. I was like, what is your religion? That you only have one person talk to God. My religion, I talk to the trees. I go out and I talk to the trees and I talk to God every day. And I was so upset for this girl who was so scared and so nervous about her religion. I thought, why do you have so much fear if you don't go to church on Sunday? Oh, I'll go to hell. I'll go to hell. And I thought, that's not a very benevolent person of God. Heaven, like you're gonna go, miss church. I play on Sunday sometimes. So it was really my curiosity. Well, okay, my father's Jewish. My mother's Baptist. I have a white Bible from my mother, and I have a black from my grandmother, and the Old Testament and New Testament. And boy, I saw the difference. I go down to North Carolina and I see all the races. I went to camp in the South in the 60s, and I'm crying in the bathroom because the girls at the sink are brushing their teeth and talking about the N-word and how it's bad enough in our schools that I have to have it, but God, our camp, our YMCA camp. And I'm crying in the bathroom. I was a Yankee to them. I had to get up and sing Dixie.
Oh, gosh.
And they could sing, I had to sing Yankee Doodle. They sang Dixie. And I was like, Yankee Doodle. And I thought, why are we segregating? And why are you yelling in the bathroom about this? And I'm crying and I'm writing my parents a little letter after we had Bible study and a YMCA camp. And my parents wrote back, those girls are learning to hate from their family. That's it, my dad and mom ever wrote me. I have that letter to this day. And I realize we learn. We are creatures of learned habit. I want to unlearn. I want to be a better human being every day. I want to unlearn my judgments. I grew up judgmental. We all did. I want to grow and be a better human being. So I choose the path of yoga that says, yoga is a state of balance. It's not perfection, it's a state of balance. Whether you like it or you don't like it, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, whether it's white, it's black, it's good, it's bad. Be the truth of understanding. It's all of it. How can we separate? And the complete totality of life is living fully from your integrity of kindness. Yoga is a pathway to your soul to let go of the little mind who is sabotaging us through fear, doubt, and worry. So every day I can choose. Laura Jane, is that thought healing or is that thought harming? Are these words healing or are they harming? Is this action healing or harming? It is asking me to look inside and reflect and be forgiving of the fact that I learned how to harm myself. At first, it wasn't harming, it was coping. All of my addictive behaviors were coping. But after a while, your addictive behaviors really become harming. They stop our growth, they stop the gift of living because we're prisoners to our mind. So yoga is saying the mind is not your boss, it is the driver of your vehicle. The boss is your soul, but you have to learn to listen. And we don't hear the right voice. And so we have to know what voice is this? And then we have to question it and we have to unravel it. So yoga is layers and layers and layers of taking off and saying, help me reveal this light. It's about seeking the light, the positive, the beauty, living, the celebration of life, and noticing that my little mind is wrong. It's accepting I'm human and I'm on a pathway. So I grew into these teachings because of my need to heal. We all need to heal, whether it's on a physical level, a mental level, an emotional or spiritual level. So they're healing tools. I teach healing. So my identity is not just teacher. I'm a healer. Does that sound wackadoodle? Yeah. So I don't have all that chakra, and yet I teach all that. But I teach it from a very pragmatic understanding and tell it the beauty of these teachings are sacred. And they're not to be misused. If I have a knife right here, and I say, here, take the knife. You just threw it at me, that hurts, you just harmed me. A knife is a beautiful vehicle, it's a tool. Misused, it can harm not only others, it can harm myself. So we have the tools of yoga. What are the tools? This is the brilliance of this. All in these sutras, the brilliance of these tools. We have 8 limbs. The first tools are the yamas and the niyamas. Then we have asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Those are 8 limbs. The yamas. These are our vows that we take to look and reflect. Can I restrain from them? The first is no harming. No harming, just what I said, my words, oh my God, my thoughts are so harming. Why do I call myself idiot 3 times a day? Where did I learn to shame myself all the time? What am I doing to harm myself? Why do I overextend myself and not feel good enough every day? I learned it. Forgiveness. We learned all of these patterns of memory. They're in every cell. They're in my ancestors. They're in my DNA. It's not like I'm going to judge and say, oh, I learned wrong. I learned what I learned. And can I accept it? So it's really today, no harming. No, speak the truth. Some days I might not know the truth. What was the truth yesterday might not be the truth today. But to the best ability, no lying. Then no stealing, not stealing material things. Don't steal someone else's dreams. Don't copy someone else's, you're unique, you're your own self. Don't have to copy just because everybody else does it. Don't steal somebody's passion for living because you say they can't. Inspire. Yeah, there is healthy boundaries. What are healthy boundaries? Being able to say, no, I'm not able to do that today. I have my priorities, but my respect for my own boundaries. And then no hoarding. And people think of hoarding as materialism. Oh, please don't hoard your light. Don't hoard the beauty in your heart. Don't hoard the kindness and the goodness because you think you can't live fully. Now, it's asking us, those are the restraint. What does it say to do? Every day, please purify. What is purification? Oh my God, clear out my lens today. Laura Jane, exhale, let that go. Take a breath in, but exhale. So it's purifying not only your physical body, your mental body, your spiritual body, purifying. Let the light in. Then it's asking us to make the effort. Do you know it takes effort for you guys to get dressed today, to be here in this chair? Bravo, you made effort. You made time, you made space, you made the desire to be here. That's toughest. You had to get your light on today. You had to get going. What happened with COVID? Everybody's light went out. Yeah. Oh my God, I don't know. I think I'm gonna get dressed today. I don't think I can get dressed. We call that depression, in our Western world. What do I call it? Lack of the light. You didn't turn the fire on. The digestive, the beauty of your passion, your light. Now, if you work from the fear, what happens to that fire? Goes right into rage, goes into anger. That's our active, reactive survival. Why is everybody so angry? They're all trying to survive. What's the big word that I never like to use? It's harming in yoga now. I'm only defending myself. You ever seen someone's veins pop out and the word defense? And you look around and you go, nobody is attacking you. It's just fear. So we're defending ourselves against this invisible fear. It's always there until you recognize, you turn the light on every day because you're opening up your heart. This is what yoga is teaching us now. Now we get to move into this effort of turning your light on every day, reflect on it. Then it's asking us to let go of outcome. Give it away to the figures, give it away. Give it to the trees, give it to life, give it to something, your legacy, your 20 grandchildren behind you. Because you want to live the pathway that says, I'm not going to harm the world, I'm going to help heal the world. It's an active choice that you make from the integrity of your soul. That's what human beings are here to grow. We're human, magnificent instruments. And we haven't used it, we have stayed primal, reptilian. Have you ever seen dinosaurs? We're going back. This is how people sit. So my work as a healer, I'm gonna have you sit up straight. Sit up straight, put your feet on the floor. Oh my God, I could change the world with a straight spine. Yes, the laughter. Ha, 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 ha. I got it on. Joy. Joy. What a crazy thing. I've lived so much sorrow. I've lived so much sorrow, so much loss. And yet I have so much joy for the beauty of living. Because you do not escape this world without the gateway of grief. And in grief, what happens? Your heart breaks open. Doesn't break apart. It breaks open. That shield. And so yoga's asking us, break the shield. Be willing to be the sound, be the vibration, be the vessel of this magnificent integrity of being alive. And yet our identity says, no, I'm old. I'm job pretty. It's what we see the negative. Why? Because we're primal. That's the front lobe of the brain. You're primed for the negative. If I have 20 million people in this room and one person walks out, oh my God, somebody left. We see what's not there, the negative. We see our lack because we're in survival. That's a normal thing. Why? Because we're wired for self-preservation. We're wired for it. And yoga is saying, look, you'll go to any religion, and if you're looking for the religion itself to be the vehicle of survival, you're still going to be disappointed because you're not going to really experience the vitality of the prana and the life intelligence that rises from your own experience. You're still looking outside. Yoga is the gateway inside. So coming back to that very first sutra, Atta Yoga Nushasan. And now begins the path of yoga inward. The journey is in, not out. And that is why it's so confusing and so counterintuitive for our Western world. Because if you get this, you'll win. If you get this, no, I'm moving a little further away. No, it's a little harder. The carrot is always outside. The wind will always push that feather further and further and further away. And the disappointment. Once again, life doesn't work. Once again, it doesn't. So the tools of yoga, give it away, give the outcome away. And now you will experience a glimmer, the sweetness of contentment. I love Garrison Keillor. I will quote Garrison Keillor. Contentment is not fundamentally American. Why? Because it presents lack of achievement, of competition. And what is our greatest fuel in our world today? Competition. Competition. We've made every sport a competition. It's no more play. It's no more joy and contentment and to play quietly and everything. No, we have to compete. And we have to be better than. And we must win, or you are shamed in the alternative. We have made it so black or white. The opposites are so extreme and so harsh that we can't understand the sweetness of being enough. In this moment, in this breath, in this moment, in this breath, I am enough. That is not an intellectual thing to the mind. The mind will never get it. So therefore, what is mind? Mind is your body. Mind is your breath. Mind are your thoughts. Mind is your behaviors and your personality. And mind is your mood. That is Prakriti. That is everything that's changing and living, going back to the Sankhya teachings. And Purusha is the unchanging. So his mind is always changing. The unchanging is the observer, witnessing. And now beyond that, it's absorbed in the quality of oneness. And that takes a lot of practice. And that is why people can't meditate, because they're looking for the attachment of the experience to get it, instead of being in the process of being absorbed in it as it changes constantly. So yoga, these tools going back, I said the yamas and the niyamas, we introduce asana. We introduce pranayama, which is your breath. So then we introduce the mind, which is focusing. And then we introduce the layers of the huge gift of meditation. So yoga is meditation. And this is the confusion. And what is meditation? It's learning how to focus the mind. Except not striving to get the mind to stop. Being the observer of the fluctuation in the experience that prana and life intelligence is always moving. And you can just know it. And feel. So what are the outcomes of that? Peaceful balance of your system on your nervous system. What's our nervous system? Our adrenaline is running too much. Competition is feeding us to the point where we've created for ourselves a complete imbalance. And how is it manifested physically? We have an epidemic of autoimmune diseases. What's autoimmune? You're too hot. What's heat? Firing up that engine and it's overheated and we're wearing ourselves out. And what's the great word we hear all the time? Burnout. What's the other? Cool? Cool the mind. My work is cooling your mind. To keep your heart warm. Keep your heart warm. Cool your mind. What do we see around us right now? A lot of hot-headed people and pretty cold-hearted. Let's change the paradigm. Yoga changes the perspective. And it changes it on a physical body. And I can do it through your breath. But if you can't sit up straight, I guarantee you will not have a diaphragmatic breath. If you don't have a diaphragmatic breath, you're not using this instrument. And if we can't use our instrument, I can't experience quieting my mind. And if I can't quiet my mind, I can't heal. We have to learn to quiet the mind. We are demanding humanity to start healing on this pathway, not for your identity, but for your soul. It's a soul work. And it gets airy-fairy in the 70s and 80s. It got new agey, it got all that stuff. And even yoga has a bad rap, and everyone thinks I'm an exercise teacher. It's like I'm a wackadoodle woman in the western suburbs. It doesn't matter. The beauty and the joy is it works. But you have to have a teacher. And you have to start really understanding that it starts with your breath in your physical body. So you have to be willing to feel awkward. Awkward is the word of asana. It means to seat the mind in an awkward way. Because really, these chairs are our conditioned mind. You know, sit on the floor, it's really awkward. And then it hurts the back, doesn't it? Or if you don't have good lumbar, it hurts. And you have this beautiful long spine, and it's a lot to up there. That gravity is tough. and we need, and remember, yoga, one shoe does not fit everybody. I teach one-on-one. I'm a yoga therapist. I work one-on-one. Everybody is unique and different. Every soul, every spirit, all your memories are different, and you're coming from a different place. So we have to meet you where you are. And everybody comes in thinking they have to be at a certain level. And it really is harmful because we've made an identity of yoga so about condition to look good. I want to feel good. You know? I never fit in. And I'm accepting that.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Chicagoland yoga studios, you go in and it's gonna get turned up. It's gotta be steamy. What's that
Yeah,
called?
yeah.
Hot
Yoga. What did I just say? We're too overheated as it is.
And you're competing with everyone in the room.
Yeah. And nobody's breathing in that hot room because you can't get anything up here. It's like, breath, what is breath? I'm not gonna breathe in this hot, smelly air. It's like, you know, we have to say, wait, where did we learn that? Well, it's product driven, and I could sell you all the product. I can sell you all this material world to be a better yogi. You gotta have the right clothes. People call me up, what kind of clothes are I said, very comfortable clothes. But no, is it this outfit? Is it this outfit? And we're so rooted in our world of addictions to our body type. And so my work is, please, you know, let it meet you where you are in loving kindness. And what is that today? We don't even know. It's so confusing. So the sutra that is universal with Buddhism and Christianity, Sutra 133, a base of the whole intention. So Patanjali says you can do all these tools. You can do all your meditating, you can do all your breathing, you can get your body, you can every day not harm. But if it doesn't come from right attitude, the sweetness, the sukha, the night, the opening is going to be lost. And that right attitude is in every religion. Maitri karuna mudito dakshanam sukha dukam punya punya vishtayanam bhavanataha chitta prasadanam. We have to cultivate this beautiful bhavana. Bhavana is the right attitude. It's that which is bringing us over the obstacle, over the problem. Because if I can cultivate within myself the ability to have discernment and be kind to all beings, be friendly, even though I'm jealous and I recognize my guilt, still be happy for others. Be happy for people doing good works. People that got that promotion and you should have. Be happy for them. You want to have a baby, you can't get pregnant, you've lost 6 children. Be happy for that pregnant woman having that child. Be joyously content. You have to cultivate that, and you have to observe your judgments. And you have to say, even though I don't approve of that, I don't know where they're coming from, I don't know what bad day they have, I don't know their life story. Please let go of this moment of judging them. It's great effort to cultivate those attitudes, but that's what Christianity says. And true teaching, Christianity is saying, please cultivate these. Buddhism, be above the suffering. You don't have to suffer if you cultivate oneness with all. It's called metta, open-hearted. Be open-hearted. Live from this space, even though the intellect wants to bring you into all of those likes and dislikes, and be today. Just be present. What's good about this day? What's good about this? I will tell you, come back to being alive and feeling your aliveness, because you can. You will be grateful. Today, I am content to have this opportunity, this moment to be with you all. What a joyous thing. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank my teachers that have walked this path for many thousands and thousands of years, and thank the desire to keep growing. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much. This is a lot to think about and just to live with, but I want everybody to, can we have some
Oh,
questions
that's
here?
what I want to
And
share.
folks, hey, friends at home, please unmute yourself and just chime in and let me hear from you.
There's a lot covered in.
Could you review the source that you had, the book? What's the name?
Yes,
What is-
Patanjali. Okay, so Patanjali Yoga Sutras. The sutras, if you want the philosophy of yoga, it's from the sutras. Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, Patanjali. Patanjali. These sutras are transcribed from the Sanskrit. They're written in Sanskrit. I am reading Sanskrit, chanting Sanskrit.
Oh, so if I got that, I would. I'd have to.
You can get translations. So that's what I say. You'll get translations. The Bible's been translated many ways from the Old Testament. There are translations. There is study groups. I love to have group studies on these because they're conversation. They were all based in conversation. They're sutras. What's a sutra? A stitch. One sutra leads to another sutra. I chanted, I said, now begins the path of yoga. The second sutra I chanted was, and yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. It's when the mind that's chattering and roaming can come into the stillness of a nirodha. Nirodha means it's one pointed. It's like threading the eye of the needle, one pointed. You're going deeper and deeper into that space. And then he says, ta-da! Now, when your mind can come inward, you are now established in your true nature. What is our true nature? This radiant vibration. And then he says, at other times, you're not there. You're not in a state of yoga. And it doesn't, you have to be that, you're always gonna be changing. When I'm a role of mother and I have to drive the car and there's 6 kids in the back and they're all screaming, I'm not in a state of yoga. But the witness is always with me as I'm observing, I'm not in a state of yoga. As I'm looking at that and I go, oh, Lord, Jane, you are not in a state of yoga. Because you're still aware of that teeny little understanding that we have the differences. And then pretty soon you miss your practice because you see your habits are always there, your samskaras, your patterning. We're all patterned. So the beautiful thing is you brush your teeth every day. You have to breathe every day. Why? Because you can.
What does it feel like when you finally learn to still your mind?
You get a glimmer of it. Believe me, it's vacillating, so the glimmers. But you recognize that you're not as angst. You're not as agitated. You're still alert. You're totally alert, and yet you're not agitated. There's a quiet sensation of expansive feeling. You feel expansive. It's an actual experience. Now, this is why the intellect is seeking peace. It's not you getting peace. You are experiencing a quality of ease, effortless ease. And that in itself is brilliant, because don't we make so much struggle every day to get it, That's the angst. So the Sanskrit word of Shanti, I don't know if anyone's heard Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti is the translation is a mind that is alert without agitation. Because that's a peaceful quality. That's a quality. Remember, we're developing quality, not things, so the experience is different for all of you. Your quality of ease would be different than mine. You might feel less backache. That might be on a physical level. You might feel less stomach stuff going on if you have tendency for stomach problems, headaches. We ease the nervous system to feel a quality on a physical level. On an emotional level, hey, this day doesn't. Oh, I just noticed the bird over there. Oh, what a beautiful bird. You notice you're not angst in the mood. Remember, I can't fix someone depressed by telling them, oh, buck up. You can do that. Doesn't work. Because there's truly a physical experience. So meeting somewhere where they are, can I teach you to take a deeper breath? I can get your fire on through your breathing. Now, can I get you just to put your feet on the floor? I can take a depressed person from here. Just lift up here, the energy rises up. Oh, maybe I need a shower. The thought will arise. Don't tell someone to do it, it will arise. Now, an anxious person, which we really live in anxiety, it's a horrible feeling to feel your racing heart. It's a terrible feeling to not feel in your body, to feel scattered. To feel scattered is a terrible feeling. You will feel solid. You will feel present, rooted. It's a real feeling of being rooted. And that word doesn't mean anything until you've experienced, just like the apple. Oh, here's the apple, looks really good until you taste it. That's why the practice reveals itself with the teacher over time. So now we get back to the world of attachment to an outcome to get peaceful. And you won't ever. That's chasing peace. You have to be willing to sit in your awkwardness and watch your mind and forgive it. Boy, it's wackadoodle. And then you have to be willing to absorb it in a way that you let go of what you think it is and feel what it is. So the thinking mind takes us away from the experience. We think too much. We do. And that's why the conversation here is lovely and all, but I could take you through a practice and you would understand a lot more. But then it would ask you to get on the floor and or sit in your chairs, and this is the conversation time, to digest the conversation, to understand it. And now we have a Western world that thinks of yoga. Well, is it hatha yoga? Is it this kind of yoga? Is it hot yoga? Is it? And it's all the names. So it all identifies its name, but the teachings are the mind. So what is the mind? And that's what the real teachings of yoga are. Now, bhakti yoga is devotional yoga. But all yoga is devotion. If it's based in the mind coming in, chitta vritti nirodha, to settle the mind. But my attitude and my desire is the devotion of something greater. So I'm letting go of it. It's not about my identity. It's not about me. It becomes something greater. So it's all devotion. So everything, and then hatha yoga. What's hatha yoga? Physical yoga, sun, moon. It's the beauty of the balance of your system. And how do you do that? I have a left side, I only work on the left, here it goes, okay, raise the left side, well, the right side went down. We have two sides. Oh my gosh, I have two halves. Oh, I have a bad shoulder, a good shoulder. No, you have now feel the center of the spine. And what's this spine? It's your energy channel. So now we introduce chakras and everybody goes, oh, my chakras are imbalanced. So, yes.
Dean has a question.
Oh, good, thank you.
Yes, Jean?
Hi, my question is praying then? So sometimes when you pray, you breathe in, you get into a state of prayer. Is that a form of yoga in your mind?
Beautiful tool, yes. It's anytime the mind is directed in a focused way with an intention, and just this asana or mudra of prayer comes from the ancient wisdom of taking two halves of myself, and I'm yoking and bringing those two halves into a union of intention to bring it into my heart, and now extend that prayer into the world. What a beautiful bhavana prayer is. It's a bhavana. Bhavana is the attitude with a passion to move that in a direction. So prayer is a part of the teachings, of a tool. Not to say we're praying to get, but to give, and it's bigger. So yeah, prayer is definitely reflective. It's time to come inward. It's an opportunity. Oh, it's a beautiful vehicle. Any other questions?
Want to see?
The term enlightenment has long been a term that has spoken to me. That would be an aspect of what you're talking about.
It would, dear. Beautiful. Enlightened, to be in light, in the light of. Therefore, it's not an attachment to get enlightened, which is little mind's identity.
Openness.
To be open to the space, to the expansion, to the incredible gift of that which you are. See, light is the ultimate experience of the physical body feeling lighter. Physically, you feel lighter. Emotionally, you feel uplifted. And that's the enlightenment, to be in that light. Yeah, it's the pathway. And light comes from sound. We know all sound moves to light. That's why all your sound healing is moving into the lightness of your experience. Remember, you think you're dense. Everything is tight, dark. We create space through the physical body, the ribs open, breath, the diaphragm lowers, the heart. Now, open that space. Now the extension of that space is physically experienced. Now when I let go of that form, let it go, let the form go. Now feel the effect. Feel the effect of that. Just raise your arms above your heart. You raise them above, you have to activate the heart, the lungs. You bring your arms down against gravity. Now you're going to experience the lightness. Oh, that wasn't so hard. Beautiful. Enlightenment, but yet people misinterpret it. They think samadhi. The word samadhi comes from the 8 limbs of yoga. That's a tool. We think we're going to get to samadhi. We're going to get to that bliss consciousness. We're going to get to enlightenment. It's still an attachment of the mind projecting a thought of what it thinks. Until the mind can be absorbed in its true nature and rest in this experience, it doesn't feel that quality of enlightenment, which then disappears. Because why? We come back to thinking, because we're human beings and we have to operate and we have to, I got things to do, I got to watch. What is a watch? What is time? All a construct of your mind. It keeps us operating together, but it's all a construct of mind. Oh, it's fascinating philosophy. Fascinating. I didn't even look at the time, but just, as I said, I'm very verbal and I can chat. Anyway, I own Yoga Among Friends. I named it Yoga Among Friends in the western suburbs in 1998. I opened it. At that time, I used to get hate mail from the religious right to say, don't get away from your evil ways and go back to Christ. And I was doing service, and then I thought, gee, you're spending all this time writing me these letters. Oh, I used to have people come into my studio so afraid that their priest was gonna find out that they were gonna open the door to the yoga center. Don't tell my priest that I'm coming here. I would speak at a congregation, and this is around the time that Harry Potter was coming out, and people were furious that they were being a witch. I mean, I've had a lot of background in the western suburbs. And I think some people get Nairobi, some people get, South America. I got Naperville, it's like, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I forgot. Service. So that was I moved in 95 from Los Angeles. At that time, I was going through a divorce. I was finishing up graduate school. I was working as a marriage family therapist. We had the earthquakes, we had the riots in LA. And I'm under my dining room table, January 17th, 1994, thinking, I'm leaving Southern California. And I did a lot of demographic work. I did a lot of insight, a lot of prayer and meditation. And I heard, go to the heartland. Go to the heartland. And I realized, oh, the heart, the pulse, I'll go. And then I thought of it as the hub. I could see my family in Connecticut, all my friends in New York, my students and people, because I was teaching yoga full time in Los Angeles. I was a yoga teacher. And I thought, the heartland, the hub. I'll go. And then I saw it as a wheel and the hub. And I just got my little Saturn car, and at that time I was Jim Henson's family's yoga teacher. And Jim Henson, right before he died, and his teacher, and I took care of his kids, and she was president of Columbia Pictures, and I would drive my Saturn, and they gave me a life-size Kurt. I have a life-size, and she would sit by me, and I'm driving to the Midwest, and little kids, I would stop, and I was going to the Midwest. I didn't have a job. I didn't have family here. I didn't have anybody here. People thought I was a felon on some kind of weird thing. I'm moving in January, this is January 17th, 1995, exactly a year from the earthquake. I moved to Naperville, Illinois. And I've been here teaching yoga since I became an actual certified teacher in '89, but I taught in New York City in the 70s because I was a broke actress and I couldn't get a job anywhere. And I walked into the New York Health and Racket Club before Jane Fonda. They said, do you know Nautilus? I said, no, it's $3.50 an hour. We're going to teach you Nautilus. We really need a yoga teacher. Can you teach yoga? Oh yeah, I can do that. 1979, I got a book on yoga. I watched Lilius. I'm very good friends with Lilius today. And that was my path to yoga. I was brought to yoga. I did not seek to be a yoga teacher. Yeah. I didn't want that loser job. My ego, my ego kept saying, no way. And it kept coming and coming. And finally, I said yes. And it was like an old coat that I zipped off, and I dropped this ratty raccoon coat. And I said, you got me. Yeah. You got me. And that's why I'm here today, because I will say yes to any opportunity to share these people.
You didn't even have us go down the floor yet.
Bring your mat. What are we gonna do? Okay.
I don't ask. But yeah, no, I could teach you anything, but this is important that you understand the beauty of why we do this, because otherwise people will come. Yeah. And it coming from that same pattern of identity that says, when I get my hands to the floor, I'll be alive and good. Yeah. And you're already magnificent. Yoga is saying you're already beautiful. You just have to polish that diamond. And how do we polish it? Well, we do it with breathing. We do it by stillness. We polish it because it's your radiant light. It's your enlightenment of that light that's going to shine through you. And it comes to our souls. It does. I mean, human beings are magnificent. Listen, we've learned wrong. Come on. Everybody got the wrong book. We say sometimes you picked up the wrong book. That's it. I think, let's share books. Let's just kind of conversation. And I want to respect where you're coming from. And I want people to know it's healing, and I think the science world is catching up with yoga. When we hear about the lipid system and the vagus nerve, and you've heard the buzzword trauma and working with trauma, and my work has been doing that for 25 years. And yet we used it from the yoga perspective because we understood the vagus nerve was wired to your adrenals. We understood we're out of balance, but we have tools to get you there. But guess what? You gotta do it. You gotta do it. You can't just get the Post-it notes and put it on. You've got to do it. And it has to be a value system. And our value system says it's not good enough. What's the payoff? When are you gonna get it? We're always waiting for the payoff. Well, you're alive. How can you not celebrate that moment of making the opportunity to practice being present to this? And we have to make our value system. And I think that's what we're doing right here. That's why this opportunity. So thank you. And I appreciate it. Any other questions? You can email me. I teach, my studio is called Yoga Among Friends. My website is www.yoga among friends. You can email me, look at my website. I do retreats around the world. I do private classes. I work with people, and I have students that drive from everywhere. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very grateful.
Thank you.